Megan's kindness is so rare, it needs to be documented, and preferably in calligraphy, on a napkin, during a flight, and it needs to be shared across social media platforms. We're going to talk about a thank you note that Megan wrote on a recent commercial flight, which in itself is pretty shocking, and the implications this has, plus its relation to a concept called curated vulnerability. Let's get into it, but before we begin, here's the intro.
Welcome to Revealing the Narc. Join me as I highlight narcissistic traits in celebrities and public figures. Everything here is in my opinion and not professional advice. If you enjoy the analysis, please like and subscribe.
I was getting ready to record Flashback Friday just now, and I was given this gift, this article in People magazine that's titled Meghan Markle exchanges handwritten notes on napkins plus a manicure compliment with flight crew girlies. American Airlines flight attendant Nina Vita shared the message penned by the Duchess of Sussex on TikTok. So, all of that to say, we're going to go through this article today, and I will be posting Flashback Friday tomorrow. So, I'll be a day late. In my defense, it is a long weekend. So, technically, Monday is Sunday, and Sunday is Saturday, and Saturday is Friday since it's a long weekend. So, I don't know if my logic makes sense, but I'm going to go with it. The article begins, flight attendant Nina Vita shared a video on her TikTok on May 22nd, recapping how the Duchess of Sussex was on board a flight she worked. You guys will not believe who I had on my flight, who I had the pleasure of serving, she said in the video, in which she was wearing her uniform. The Queen, the Princess, the Duchess of Sussex. So a couple of things pop out at me immediately here. We know that People magazine has become a mouthpiece for Harry and Meghan. So we know the goal of this article is to showcase Meghan in a good light. And in this article, they're actually using a couple of layers to try to show that Meghan is a good person. The first is that she was on a commercial flight. So that's point one of this article. It wants to drive home. She doesn't always fly private, she does fly commercial flights. Then there's this word choice of serving. That really got my attention. There's something about this statement, who I had a pleasure of serving, that just rubs me the wrong way. And I think it's when you connect that statement with what was said next, the Queen, the Princess, the Duchess of Sussex. People that work as flight attendants, their work is in service. But having that followed with these elevated description, nicknames, titles, whatever you want to call it, puts it in a different light. It puts Meghan as a VIP, a figure of status, someone you don't just help. It elevates Meghan's role on the plane to something more symbolic. It's not about being a passenger, it's about being a presence. And it's implying hierarchy. Meghan is above everybody else. That then reminded me of the mic drop reply in 2021, where Harry and Meghan issued a statement saying service is universal. So this seems to be in direct conflict to the message of this note, because in this note, Meghan is the one that's being served. Meanwhile, that 2021 comment is that they're the ones being of service to others. And in that 2021 comment, they're basically saying they're going to serve the world on their terms and not by serving the crown. And the irony is that that statement framed them as servants of the people, yet the napkin story places Meghan firmly in the role of being served. I recently started reading Traitor King about Edward VIII and Wallis Simpson, and the parallels with Harry and Meghan are unbelievable. I'll get into another example later in this video. And at the same time that I'm listening to the audiobook of The Traitor King, I'm listening to Cheer Denise's chapter by chapter commentary and analysis. She is really, really great. And I just love listening to her. She helps me make connections that I wouldn't have ordinarily made just going through the book on my own. So because of this, the Edward VIII story is very fresh on my mind. And I'm immediately drawing a connection to when Edward abdicated the throne in 1936 because he refused to give up Wallace Simpson, which many viewed as a rejection of duty itself. Now, there's a lot more layers that go into that. And if you watch how his life played out and the actions that he had taken, he didn't really seem to be a man interested in service and tradition and duty. After he stepped down, he often expected to be treated like royalty without the responsibilities. Wallace and Edward, much like Meghan and Harry, built their post royal image on glamour, access, and curated proximity, not ongoing public service. And it's in this that service becomes a paradox because Meghan is said to be served on the flight while claiming a public identity rooted in serving others. Harry and Meghan say service is universal, but they continually opt for selective moments that highlight being adored more than serving humbly. Edward VIII wanted to keep the title, the prestige, and the attention, but not the obligation. That's the same contradiction that lives in this viral napkin story. With Meghan, she's hypothetically served champagne on a plane while the world served the story. Meghan may speak of service, but much like Edward VIII, her true brand thrives not on duty, but on being adored for leaving it behind and also for maintaining the illusion of service. And of course, I don't like how this paragraph ends with this inflated persona that we're seeing. Yes, she is the Duchess of Sussex. We can't argue with that. But Queen and Princess, this shows how media and fans are complicit in her self mythologizing. It's exaggerated, it's branding through flattery. It's a way to cast her as more than just a celebrity. And you take that hand in hand with the pleasure of serving statement, it just rubs me the wrong way. The article then continues and says, now that's italicized, the Meghan Markle was on my flight, and she's so beautiful in person, so sweet, Vita added. Okay, I have to laugh a little bit because Meghan doesn't like being called Meghan Markle, and here it is in People magazine, and this lady, Vita, is calling her Meghan Markle. So that's great. I love that. So it turns out during this whole interaction, Vita shares a photo of the note that she slipped to Meghan and then the note that Meghan sent back to them. And the note that they gave to Meghan read, "It's a pleasure serving you. Love you real bad." And it was signed from the AA Girlies, which I'm assuming stands for American Airlines. Meghan then responded and said, "Dear AA Girlies," so she's addressing them with the signature of how they signed off on their note. And it says, "Thank you for the love, hospitality, and handwritten note. You know me well," Meghan said. "All love right back to you." And she appeared to sign the message as ever, Meghan. I was really curious about what this meant, "you know me well." And it just clicked to me what that means, I believe. Later in this article, it says Meghan is also known to be a fan of handwritten notes using the penmanship she developed as a calligraphy instructor, a part time job she held while doing acting auditions. And she wrote in her blog, The Tig, "I think handwritten notes are a lost art form," adding, "The idea of someone taking the time to put pen to paper is really special." Wow. Okay. I just had a revelation. So, first of all, she's assuming that when she says, "You know me well," I think this is what she's implying. "Oh, you know me well that you wrote me a handwritten note because I wrote in the TIG 15 years ago, well, not 15, 10 years ago, that I think handwritten notes are a lost art form. So thank you for writing me a handwritten note." And this makes me wonder, is her new collection going to be calligraphy sets or calligraphy instructions or how to write letters? I think that might be something that's coming. Okay, so now that we unraveled that mystery of "you know me well," now I understand where she's coming from. I also want to mention how presumptuous that is, that she assumes they wrote a handwritten note because they know she likes handwritten notes. But I mean, I've been studying Meghan for a long time, and I don't I don't know that I would ever think off the top of my head about Meghan liking handwritten notes. And then Meghan mirrors their message back to them, all the love right back to you. This is something that happens a lot with charming people. They mirror your reflection, they mirror your emotion right back at you. The article continues on to say that Vita complimented Meghan on her nails. And Vita says, she also said she loved my nails, and the captain on my last flight said they were intense. So, sir, it doesn't matter what you think, the queen says she likes them. So, here we are again with that queen word. Here we are again elevating Meghan's opinion of these nails over what the captain had said. Like, it's important to notice the framing of this story, that because Meghan liked them, what the captain said is wrong. Meghan is the authority on what nails should look like. Because Meghan likes them, it doesn't matter what anybody else says. The article closes with Vita captioned the post, "No picture, but I love a handwritten note." Isn't it weird that no photo was taken? That seems odd to me. It's almost like they're amplifying this myth. The article is turning this napkin into a symbol, and it shifts the attention and it makes the napkin the main character. The attention, the focus is on the note, the handwriting, the words, the performance and documentation of kindness. It subtly tells all of us that this isn't about a selfie moment. It's about legacy, humility, magic. You don't need to see me, is basically what it's saying. Just believe the story. When a celebrity gesture goes viral without a photo, it's not about the moment, it's about the mythology. And Meghan's napkin didn't need her face in frame because the brand of Meghan the Magnanimous speaks for itself. Over the last few months, we've seen so many stories that come out like this, where the bar is set so low for Meghan to display kindness. She complimented this woman's nails, and this is supposed to be some grand gesture. We just recently heard of another moment of Meghan being so kind by sending 2 pints of organic ice cream and a jar of homemade strawberry sauce to her neighbor, Jamie Kern Lima, and signing it with a note that says, "With compliments of HRH, the Duchess of Sussex." I mean, and that's a whole other story, the signature and the jam. True kindness is quiet. It doesn't need a napkin. It doesn't need a hashtag. It's felt and not filmed. It's not strategic like this. Some people may turn around and say, well, anything Meghan does, it's torn apart. She can't really show kindness because it's always ripped to shreds. It's usually not the act of the kindness that's the problem. It's all of these details that go along with it. This statement of, you know me well, how presumptuous that statement is. Or sending a basket to your neighbor, but then signing it off with HRH. If this is someone who's your friend, why would you sign it as HRH? If this is someone who's a neighbor that you're trying to build intimacy with, why would you throw in HRH? These are the things we talk about that, yes, maybe on the surface, if none of these other things happened, it's an action of kindness. But then when you really look at the details of what's done, that's what shows the inauthenticity, the true feeling behind the action. And this leads us directly into the concept I wanted to talk about for this video, curated vulnerability. This is the performance of emotional openness that is strategically crafted to shape perception, to garner sympathy, to boost likability without actually exposing meaningful risk or truth. Key traits of this include something that feels personal but is calculated. It reveals just enough to appear authentic, and it's often used in PR and influencer culture or by public figures to maintain control while seeming relatable. This got me also thinking about the timing. Why this story now? Like I said in the beginning of the video, I think there was major emphasis here on her flying commercial. And who else do we know that flies commercial? The Prince and Princess of Wales. Earlier this week, Catherine, Princess of Wales, got a major public win. She was included in Time's philanthropy list, and it celebrates her long term, low drama work with early childhood initiatives. This announcement is coming at a time when Meghan is struggling to land clear philanthropic wins. Catherine is praised for substance, restraint, and long term impact. Meghan's message is I'm warm, I'm thoughtful, I'm beloved by the everyday people around me. She's trying to create a contrast here between herself and Catherine, and it's not working. She's trying to show herself as emotionally accessible, that her kindness is available to all. Another thought just came to me. Just a couple of days ago, there were a lot of articles that were talking about how Meghan berated a caterer so badly during her wedding planning that the Queen had to intervene. I had a conversation with a friend of mine about this whole situation and other examples of times when Meghan has allegedly bullied staff who were there to serve her, just as Nina Vida was there to serve her. So perhaps this story is to counter what was being so openly discussed just a couple of days ago. I'm curious to know what you all think of this. Please drop it in the comments. If this video was interesting to you, please like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you'll know every time I drop a new video. I want to thank you all so much for listening, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.